Now that kind of translates to get your research option. All right, fair enough. That's very similar to when you destroy an enemy ship and you get some of their wreckage, and boom, you've got yourself some research options, and you'd also get a bonus to a little bit of advancement in that technology. You still need to jump in and do most of the legwork, but it gives you an idea of what's going on there. And I kind of like this, not having the straight up ability to steal technology as it is, having an idea of where things are going, getting the concepts, and then researching on that is a lot more interesting, especially if you have a limited amount of research opportunities. You can only have so many research items on your list when you're researching, except of course when you already have an adaptive research categories, and that's exactly what this is. So I like this. This really makes the randomness of technology a lot less of an impact, and I think that's really, really good. In addition, you can also get research speed bonuses. Like, hey, okay, we got an idea of what is going on with their society research. Okay, so now we get a research speed bonus because of their methodology or something along those lines. Or inflicting penalties, so it's the exact opposite. So we set back their research. This is all really cool, really, really good, as long as you have the opportunity to stop a spy from doing all this stuff. Being proactive is really, really fun. Really, really fun because let's be honest here, nobody likes random stuff to happen to you in the way that you couldn't avoid it. So you really need to invest in your spy network, or at least your home defense. What is important to know, however, is that enigmatic engineering, which is one of the ascension perks, has gotten a boost, which means that you are completely immune to steal technology, which is rather cool. It's a big, big investment because in the end, it's still an ascension perk, but it does mean that nobody can make heads or tails of your technology, and they can simply not steal it, which is really, really nice, especially if you are at a point in the game where you're like, okay, I've got an advantage, and I don't want the enemy to have this advantage, so this is really, really good. So yeah. And then there is sabotage. This is the category that we know the least about. It's sabotaging star bases and creating a diplomatic incident. So sabotaging star bases is really curious because there is really no images or descriptions of what this actually does, whether or not it's just blowing up a star base or destroying a building inside of a star base. That's really the question that I have here, and it's one of the ones that I am the most skeptical about because let's be honest here, when the robotic uprising was still a crisis event, having random space stations explode was not a lot of fun. They are very expensive, so having that happen is really, really annoying. So I do hope that they balance this, and this is a building that explodes inside of a starbase or something along those lines. Diplomatic incidents in this particular case could be generating CVs or planes or something along those lines. Then there's manipulation. Smear campaigns is you destroy the relationship between two empires. You have an empire that has a good relationship with somebody else. They got a bunch of treaties. You want to soften them up. You can do a smear campaign and basically say, okay, you two, you get a defensive pact. We're going to go ahead and make sure that you don't like each other anymore, and then you end those pacts. And then, of course, the door is open for you to invade. It's all in a setup system. And I really like this. It does not really exist within a vacuum. The spy network is it all has a goal towards something larger, which is really, really nice. And Smear Campaign is a very good addition here. Extort favors, of course, if you're in the galactic community, you want to get more favors to push your goals through. Of course, you will need to spend that influence once you're in the galactic community. You can extort favors, which I think is nice, especially for these larger empires. That could be extremely valuable. And finally, there is provocations. Now, provocations is really, really cool. So provocations are established in such a way that they are A, expensive, and B, there's a good chance that you will get blowback from this. As in the other empire will do something, will find out about what you're doing, and really, really not like you because of it. And the thing that you can do here, and we've only gotten two examples so far, is arms privateers. So all of a sudden you can pirates inside of enemy territory or another empire's territory, and you can be like, yeah, how about you have some guns, have some fun out there, go and raid some shipping lanes and get that trade value down. Especially versus heavy trade value empires, this could be very, very powerful, especially if they're roaming pirates and they take down space stations and stuff. And if you're in the middle of a war, this could be really, really useful because all of a sudden, on the home front, there's a bunch of stuff going on that is causing issues, and arming privateers is a good option for that. Then there is probably one of the most ridiculous ones, and that is called Crisis Beacon. Now, I would not expect that this particular provocation is going to be until the very, very late game when Crisis has kicked off, and to me, the AI crisis, not the Nemesis crisis. But basically, what it means is that you install a beacon that will attract a crisis fleet towards an enemy planet. Yes, it's very, very cool. Because basically, what that means is that you can go ahead and say, okay, the Praetorian Scourge has spawned. That's fine. Okay, we can deal with this. We can use the Praetorian swarm to destroy some of our enemies, and all of a sudden there's a giant fleet inside of enemy territory that they cannot handle. And this is really just a red button nuke approach, because you can just go ahead and say, all right, enemy capital, there's a crisis beacon here now. Good luck defending against the crisis. That is incredible. It's really, really interesting that this is a thing, because it really allows you to leverage crises in your favor, which I really, really like. Now, of course, with crises, of course, having the ability to steer away fleets to other locations is incredibly useful, and I hope that they do it with fleets that are already established rather than just randomly spawning a thing. And I do think that it will work in such a way that the target planet or space area will go onto the priority list of invasion for the crises. So that's really cool. I like that. That is really, really fun. Now, as I mentioned, spy networks do start with 50 network strength right off the get-go, which means that you can do some gathering of information. You can start a smear campaign, steal technology, but you can also gather asset. Now, an asset is a special type of pop, not necessarily a pop that exists in a certain way, but basically what it is, it's an agent within the enemy empire, whether or not it is a disgruntled bureaucrat or a drone that can no longer work properly or is hacked or something on those lines, and you can use that asset to do your operations. Every single operation has the opportunity to add an asset to it. You don't need to, but you can definitely do it. At least that's what it is so far. I would not be surprised that some of the more advanced operations will require assets to be added to them. But regardless, you can generate a asset by getting the subterfuge operation type acquire asset, or, as far as I understand, it is a case of slowly but steadily over time, your spy master / envoy will also generate these assets, which is really, really cool. They've got their own little menu, and every single asset has their own specialties. So some assets will be really good at manipulation, some of them will be good at sabotage, some of them will be good at subterfuge and provocations. They all have die rolls attached to them, and effectively the system co-ops the relic system, which means that these kind of work like scientists in the relic system, and they'll be able to just go in and improve their dice rolls in the longer course it takes for them to do things, the easier it is for enemy empires to protect you. Of course, you can go ahead and say, okay, I want to burn my asset. I don't want to continue this operation because I don't have the money for it anymore, or I don't like the initial outcome. You can burn that asset and leave them hanging, and I'm basically like, oh yeah, this guy did it. Don't worry about it. We're completely innocent. This guy over here did it. So yeah, sending a burn notice to your asset is once again really, really cool. I do think that having invested a lot of resources into your assets and making sure that you have them is going to be really important. So making sure that your cells are up and running is going to be important. So burning your assets is not necessarily the thing that you want to do. But yeah, at the end, there is a operation finisher, and basically you can get a bonus out of things, whether or not you obtain your goals, or the alien empire figures out what you're doing, and that could be a big problem. Now, throughout operations, the spy master may ask you to add additional resources to your operation, whether it be money, probably things like consumer goods, or any type of resource that is relevant, really. At least in my opinion, that'd be really cool. But I'm sure even if it's not in the base version of it, the modders will go nuts and try to build something cool with this. So yeah, finally, I did not touch on this during the operation sides of things. If you have an operative, if you have an asset, Every single asset will increase your SPY network cap by 5. It will not add them, but it will add a cap, which means the more assets you have in a SPY network, and it's per envoy, you will have a higher total count that you can get. So slowly over time, you can build up that resource and then spend it on where you want it. So the more assets you have, the higher that number can be, and the more extreme of operations you can do. I really, really like this system. It looks like really, really fun, especially the provocations as well as the manipulation stuff. Sabotage, I'm not really 100% on, and subterfuge is just the base system that leads into the rest of everything. Whether or not the relic system is a good idea to have been co-opted for this is a whole question by itself. I'll have to see how it works, really. It kind of makes a lot more sense than the relic system, as in how it's used there. Personally, I felt the relic system should have been more like the way the Enigmatic Fortress works in Leviathans, which is a series of event chains that can be randomized and lead into each other. And I don't think the hallway approach is very, very good in relics, but maybe something good can come out of this within the spy system for the Nemesis expansion. Still, though, there is quite a lot of stuff afoot. Apparently, there is new stuff going to be announced soon as well, because apparently the spy system, as well as the crisis system, is not the only stuff that is coming in the Nemesis update. So we're going to go and take a look at that in the very near future. In the meantime, though, make sure you get involved on the polls on the Steam community page. Yeah, definitely. The YouTube community page, because we're constantly voting there on new stuff. The things you want to see. For instance, the next video we're going to be talking about is how to get a size 55 Monopolis. Yes, that is about twice as big as the average Monopolis. Actually, it's more than that. But if you want to get involved and try and want to see certain types of videos, make sure you get involved in those community posts and go on the polls and vote on them, because it allows me to see what you guys want. In the meantime, though, we're going to wrap this one up here. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Nemesis is on the horizon. I'm very excited for it. I'm really looking forward to see what this spy system can do, and of course also the Nemesis system itself. But we will see. I want to thank my patrons for making this video possible, and until next time, take good care of yourselves and make sure you're safe out there, fellow Lord.
Yes.